Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Jade King. This is my social topics presentation 2 over the article Who Are They? Gender Neutral Pronoun Adoption by Non Binary People and Other Gender Groups. In this current climate, where conversations around identity are increasingly visible and sometimes misunderstood, it is important to rely on empirical evidence rather than stereotypes. The research I'll be discussing comes from a large-scale study done by Dwyer and colleagues, published in Sex Roles 2025. The study provides valuable data on how gender identity and pronoun use intersect in the real-world social setting. Why is gender identity important? Gender identity is one of the most significant aspects of who we are because it shapes both our internal sense of self and how we navigate through society. It influences the roles we take on, how we communicate, and even how we are treated in educational, professional, and healthcare environments. When a person's gender identity is affirmed, meaning others have recognized and respected, research consistently shows a higher self esteem, better mental health, and a stronger sense of belonging. While on the other hand, when identity is ignored or dismissed, people can experience stress, depression, or social isolation. So, understanding gender identity isn't just about labels, it's about supporting human well being, core part of self concept and social identity. It shapes relationships, roles, and social interactions, and impacts the well being and self esteem of others. Affirmation linked to better mental health outcomes. Pronouns as identity expression. Preferred pronouns are one of the simplest yet most meaningful ways we can express gender identity. Pronouns are not just grammatical tools, they are social signals of recognition. When we use these correct pronouns, we create alignment between a person's internal experience and the way we address them. This act of respect validates their identity and communicates that they are seen and valued in our society. For many individuals, especially those who are transgendered or non binary, this validation can be life affirming. Preferred pronouns act as a small but powerful marker of identity expression. Pronouns equal linguistic expression of gender identity, aligns the inner sense of self with external recognition, and allows authenticity and visibility in social spaces. Why should we respect pronouns? Respecting pronouns goes beyond politeness. Using incorrect pronouns, a practice often called misgendering, can be deeply harmful. Misgendering communicates to the individual that their identity is not acknowledged, which can lead to feelings of alienation, emotional distress, and even negative health outcomes over time. Conversely, correct using of someone's pronouns supports mental health, reduces anxiety, and fosters inclusion in a classroom, workplace, and social groups. It's a small act with a large impact on creating a welcoming environment for all of those involved. Research overview. To better understand pronoun use, Dwyer and his colleagues conducted a survey of more than 41,000 participants across a range of gender identities, sexual orientations, and cultural backgrounds. The goal was to identify who adopts gender neutral pronouns, such as they, them, he, him, she, her, and to explore what social and psychological factors can predict this adoption. The researchers focused on three key variables: participants' gender identity, their willingness to be out about their identity, and a broader cultural or demographic influences. It explored adoption of gender neutral pronouns, compared non binary, binary trans, and cisgendered groups. The results of this study were extremely challenging to some common assumptions. The chart showed approximately 88% of non binary participants reported using they them pronouns, which might seem expected. However, the study also found that 16% of binary transgendered individuals, those who identified as male or female, also used they them pronouns at least part of their time. The most surprising was over 1% of cisgendered participants who gender matches the sex assigned at birth reported also using they them. The researchers also discovered that people who were open about their identity and their gender were far more likely to adopt their preferred pronouns publicly. Culture and religious backgrounds played a role as well, with some traditions associated with lower adoption rates. This demonstrates that pronouns use is not limited to a single group and that social context strongly shapes how and when a person will express this identity depending on what environment they're currently in. What I have learned. What surprised me most while reading this article and reviewing the data was just how diverse pronoun adoption really is. Before reading this study, I assumed gender neutral pronouns were used mostly exclusively by non binary and transgendered individuals. Instead, the data showed that people across the gender spectrum, including many cisgendered and transgendered individuals, use they them for a variety of reasons. Some use these pronouns to express their gender fluidity, while others adopt them as a way of signalizing inclusivity. I was also struck by how important the sense of safety is. Being open about identity and how they feel of themselves is predicted whether the participants felt comfortable in their environment to use said pronouns in everyday life. These findings underscore the importance of support in social environments and allowing people to live authentically to who they believe they are. In conclusion, gender identity is a central component of human experience, shaping both our internal self concept and the way we interact with our environments. Pronouns are far more than just simple words, they are essential tools for recognizing and affirming one's identity. The Dwyer study reminds us that pronouns use is influenced not only by identity self, but also the openness, cultural context, and social support situation. As we move forward in an age of misinformation, respecting pronouns is something small yet powerful when trying to come together as a society, fostering dignity, inclusion, and psychological well being for everyone. I would like to leave us on this note. The research highlights the importance of respecting each other's identity and the power of small acts, like using correct pronouns to affirm dignity. The principles echo biblical teachings such as Genesis 1:27, which reminds us that every person is made in the image of God, and Romans 12:10, which calls us to show honor and love to one another. Thank you for your time and have a great day.